we are live. I had to check it out. I'll show you, everybody. This is how it displays that we're live. I'm able to see what you see in the Mevo camera. So welcome to the Come Cook With Me show. My name is Laura Hall, and we are coming to you live from Daphne, Alabama in my kitchen, and I'm so thrilled to have you. We are making just a wonderful, wonderful meal today. And we have such a variety. I am so excited about the variety that we have created in this recipe. So those of you, raise your hand if this is your first time and just hit that love button. We are actually coming Vimeo live, and we're coming to you live via Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit the wave sign, maybe hit some hearts, say hello, who you are, where you're from in our community. We just love on each other, and we just love to just talk to one another during the show, ask questions. I try to get back to them pretty quickly, and I always post the pictures of everything that we've done and all the prep work that kind of leads up to it. So you'll see all of it in the comments area. And I know some of you are saying, okay, well, where's the recipe? Well, the recipe will actually get posted as soon as this Mevo session is finished, and we'll post the recipe in the actual post itself. You'll just have such great options. So we are making keto enchiladas, we are making vegan enchiladas, and we have some traditional ones that have been cooking in the slow cooker. So I'm gonna kind of show you what the end result is gonna look like, because those are near to being done. And we have, I'll just go through how to prep all the work ahead of time so that it's really easy once you get everything done. So you have lots and lots of options with this show, and that's what I love. We have so many clients that are kind of doing vegan, vegetarians, so I always cook something like that in our Instapot. And then for those people who are doing keto, we've now kind of moved that to the MEALTHY pot. And those people who love doing just traditional cooking, home cooking in the good old-fashioned crock pot, well, we have that always for those people who love to do that. So let me show you what the end result of these enchiladas are gonna look like. You're not gonna believe how beautiful they look. You go ahead and take this top off, it's very warm. And these have been cooking for nearly an hour. They've probably got about another 20 more minutes, but I'll just show it to you. So we have actually created, these are the traditional ones. There's actually a couple, they're almost bubbly. So when they're bubbly, you know that they're actually done. And we've been cooking them on low and slow. We have a green verde tomatillo sauce, and we have a red salsa, regular tomato salsa. So both are been the same. So we'll just cut these through the middle so that people who want to have the tomatillo sauce, they'll be able to have that, and those that want to have the red salsa will be able to have that. So I'm going to actually show you how to do that in the Instapot and the MEALTHY pot. But for those people who love low and slow, this is a great option too, and that's very hot. So, and of course, I know some people love to cook their enchiladas to get them really crispy. You can add this, pop this as soon as it's done like this, pop it into the oven if you'd like them to be crispy, and that is a perfect opportunity. We don't like ours too crispy, so we're just gonna leave them like this. Oh, they smell fantastic. And I actually have rolled a few different ones in here. So let me go ahead and show you what we start off in the kitchen today with. Now yesterday I did some prep work. I created, and it's all gonna be in the recipe, so I did some homemade refried beans, and these are pinto beans, so we have homemade pinto beans. We made these yesterday, and we also have some homemade black beans as well. So I'll tell you how we did those in just a little bit, but one of the things that as I got started talking, I want to just do a super uber shout out to a friend, Dennis Sieb. He asked me to create this recipe, the actual vegan side, for a good friend of his, Scarlett. Sylvia Scarlett is her name, and it's her birthday next week. So I created this recipe, just the vegan side, because she's a vegan vegetarian, so I created it for her. So Sylvia, this is for you, and a big shout out to Dennis. All right, so we did those preparations with the beans. I'll go ahead and tell you how I did those in a minute. But those were done last night, and they are so good when they just can be in their own little absorption of juices in the refrigerator. So I really do like to do those before. Those of you who love to have chicken enchiladas, because that's what the traditional meat is going to be, we did this chicken breast also the night before, yesterday, and I have a ton of pictures that I'll be posting, but we did the shredding and then we saved the juices, and we actually have what's remaining. This is going to go with the rest of the pot here. So today, when we were getting set up, we were getting ready to roast our garlic and all of our beautiful peppers. So we have a serrano pepper. It's a chili pepper. It's a long, skinny chili pepper. Actually, I have one right here, serrano. It looks like this. So that's that small one right there, because I used all of those that I chopped up. And then we have a jalapeno pepper and poblano pepper, and we had garlic throughout the whole bottom of the pan. Roasted these vegetables in the oven, let them really get nice and sweaty and nice and al dente so that they're really wonderful roasted. And that was on a 325-degree temperature, and I just keep an eye, usually 20 minutes is all you need. But what I did with them all is I sliced them super thin to make the enchiladas. So we have really thin jalapeno, the serrano, the habanero, and then there's a really thin sliced garlic, and then these are the poblanos. I realized when I was making that first batch in the slow cooker that I didn't slice them thin enough, so you'll see when I'm actually prepping these enchiladas that I'm going to do that. All right, so the other thing I made homemade was salsa, and I've done this so many times on so many shows, so again, we'll have the recipe, but we have some homemade salsa, regular red salsa. We also, I've never shown you my homemade tomatillo salsa, and this I saved for serving on the top. But I also, because I didn't know that the tomatillos were going to be ripe enough when I purchased them, I actually put these, they were roasted with all of the other yummy peppers and garlic, but the tomatillos were roasted and they turned out so beautiful. So I made a little tomatillo salsa that is good for the sides, for garnishing. So this is really the homemade, so yummy. And I basically use the same recipe that I use for salsa, I just use the roasted tomatillos. And I really think the roasted tomatillos with the roasted garlic is the best way to go when you make a tomatillo sauce. But if you don't know how to make a tomatillo sauce, or the tomatillos are hard to get to, hard to find, you always have an option. You know, if you don't want to make your refried beans, they make wonderful products in cans, so always you can use them. If you don't want to use refried black beans, just use regular beans. Whatever you're loving, I would recommend. But I always try to show you how easy it is to actually do these things. It's just so simple. You just throw these beans, dry beans, in a pot, and you put your garlic and your seasoning and your peppers in. You hit it, you put in, I actually put 2 cups of salsa in as well, and some vegetable broth, and you just hit it to go. When it's done, smash them up, and there you go. You have your refried beans, and you can just heat them up the next day. It's so wonderful, so easy too. So, but if you don't find you have time enough to make a salsa, or you don't want to make a tomatillo salsa because they're not in season, the tomatillos aren't in season, you can always just get a good jar. What I love to do is I always find things that are organic, non-GMO, so not genetically modified, and organic, is wherever is possible. And this one was a roasted serrano and cilantro. So these are the kind of ingredients that I actually used. And I looked at their label, and there's not any added extra anything. So this is a really fresh one. And this is called Frontera. But again, if you don't have tomatillos, don't want to make it, you can always use what it looks like. And this is what it looks like out of the jar. So it's quite a bit of difference between the fresh versus what's from the jar. But again, you know, it's all real good. It's easy. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to start off with how we build the enchiladas with just using the vegan ingredients, okay? And so what you want to start off with, now it's always better if you have the insert The insert, this insert inside the MEALTHY is that MEALTHY has come up with non-stick that's not using whatever they used to use, non-stick, but it doesn't have that. It's just one of those glazed non-stick pans, and it doesn't have the chemical that you always grew up with, because those I don't recommend cooking in at all. But this is kind of nice to have non-stick. And I tested this one that I got from MEALTHY, and it does fit in the Instant Pot, which is great. But I only purchased one. I need to go back and purchase a second one so that when we're cooking side by side, we have the same kind of thing going on. But anyway, it'll be okay, because we're going to coat the bottom of this with the salsas. So because we're doing half with tomatillos salsa, the green salsa, and half with the red salsa, you want to try to split that down the middle. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm just going to add in a scoop of my tomatillo salsa, a couple scoops. You want the whole bottom completely covered. Now, just the half, and then you're going to use the other half for the red salsa. That way when people are digging in, they'll be able to, it's a little heavy, I don't want to be dripping. And this will prohibit the first layer that you're going to make of enchiladas from sticking, and that's the objective of this. Okay, so simple. Please feel free to ask any questions. Don't forget to say hello, who you are, where you're from while we're doing this. So, all right, now we're ready to go, and I'm going to show you a couple of the products that I use for just the vegan side. Of course, we're going to use all of these wonderful ingredients, but we're not going to use the meat. But what I love is Jackfruit. This Jackfruit company, they come up with some of their most handy-dandy products just using fruit off of a tree. I mean, you just can't get any better than this. I think vegans and vegetarians have such a great choice now out there in the marketplace. But I love this TEX-MEX. This is a Jackfruit, the Jackfruit company. It's non-GMO, which I love. And this one is flavored green chili and cumin, southwestern heat. So I think it's just great. So that is right here. So we're going to be using this to use as our meat in the enchiladas for the vegan side. So delish. So I'm going to keep this closer to me. And we have Follow Your Heart. This is one of my favorites. It has the reason why it's one of my favorites, I should explain why, is the high melting point. Like, it melts really well, like a really good cheese would. But this is a dairy-free, it's a vegan cheese, so I love it because it's non-GMO, it's Follow Your Heart, dairy-free, and this is a cheddar blend. Normally I'll use a Mexican blend, but they didn't have it at the store, so you gotta use what you gotta use, so that's okay. So that's what this looks like. So we'll keep these items pretty close at hand and move that a little bit out of the way. And we're ready to get started. You're gonna love how we do these enchiladas because I have a really good secret of keeping them held together. So I'll show you when we roll them. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you, we're gonna use a couple of different tortillas. Because a lot of my clients are doing more keto friendly, healthy keto, and there's a way to do keto, healthy and not. So if you wanna learn more, you can connect with me. But what I love is that these particular low carb tortillas, these are whole wheat, but what I love is the net grams of carbs, low, 3 net grams of carbs for this big tortilla. I mean, can you just get over it? And it's a wheat product. So then there is the Mission has a good carb balance. And I think the net carb on this is 4 net carbs for one of the flour tortillas. So we're gonna mix and match, kind of do a little bit of both, especially for the vegan side, because everyone loves to have a little bit. So we'll just rotate back and forth. So we're gonna start off with your tortilla. You want a good clean surface. And we're gonna do, well, let's start off with the black beans, and we'll do a mixture, because these are so good. And our vegans really use beans a lot of times for some real important proteins and good fiber, so it's not going to hurt to use both. And you want to smash those down. And make sure on the tip, which I will go back and do that. On the tip, you want to make sure you get it nice on the tip. Now most of this you can get flattened out. All right. And you want to next use your cheese. And now, since I went lengthwise, you want to kind of go on the vertical plane. And we're going to use, well, we're going to get all of our peppers. Now, depends on how hot you like them, but my girlfriend Sylvia, I understand, loves it hot. So we're going to use a little bit of all of these peppers in there, the jalapeno, the habanero, and we want to put in our garlic. I've thinly sliced this garlic, super, super thin, so you don't get big chunky bites when you bite into it. Even though it's roasted, you still don't want to have the chunky bites. Excuse me. All right, so the poblano, I'm just going to go ahead and get my knife here and just slice it. It's too thick. You don't want to have that big of a chunky bite in what you're eating. All right, and then we just get our jackfruit. And watch. So then you just take it and you begin to roll. And what you want to do is get where those beans match up and become just that glue, becomes that glue to hold it all together. So yummy. So I'm going to place these lengthwise according to the way that we put that salsa in, because when we layer, we're going to want to layer and then keep the same salsa on top. So let me go ahead and make another one of these. I don't think I want to use as much beans as I used. That one seemed to be a little overstuffed. Oh, these black beans, and I made a Alfredo sauce last night. My husband had regular noodles, I had zoodles, and when I was making these, I said, do you want to try them and see what they, he says, no, I can't mix my flavors. So he's really looking for it. He is looking forward to dinner tonight. He saw that I had just finished putting in the, putting them into the, starting the crock pot over there. And he's like, did you take a picture? Like, did I take a picture? Yeah, I took a picture. Oh, I can hardly wait to taste this. It's gonna be so flavorful, so hot and spicy, so darn delicious. And I just love these poblanos, roasted poblano. Oh my gosh, roasted stuffed poblano. I could eat poblanos all the time. They're so good. All right, put a little bit of the jackfruit on. And you can see, you don't have to follow the exact same order that you're making them. I didn't do the same. As long as you're getting all the ingredients on, that's what's really important. Okay. All right, here we go. And that one, oh, see, things fall out, and that's okay. That's why we start off with the vegan side. So if that happens, things will fall out. It'll be all right. Just shove it in there. Just put it back in the pot. All right. So now we're going to do a layer of cheese. So we have our first layer. You can actually make 3 across, but just for the time's sake, and because we don't have as many people coming, although I invited some people from Pure Bar to come. I don't know if they'll be coming or not. But we have new neighbors, so maybe I'll hop down and bring them some surprise. All right, so now we want to layer again with the same salsa on top. Now, you can again do more across, but we're just showing for demonstration. So layer a nice coat on top of that enchilada. And we're going to put on the red salsa. And then I'll top the next one. We'll do the other tortillas. You want to have a lot of cheese because it coats and protects so that when you lift up the enchilada, it kind of stays together. That's the objective. All right, let's go ahead and do the flour one. And we'll do a black bean. Some of these refried beans that are pinto beans. I wonder what your favorite pinto or black bean is in your family. And I'm sure everybody has their own particular flavor that they love more than others. I'm just curious as to what your family loves. I think my family is about 50-50. I think my son would prefer pinto beans with my husband, and I believe my daughter probably would do black beans with me. Although that'll be a curious question to ask in our family thread. So good. A little bit of the jalapeno there and some habanero. Ooh, delish. Okay, we'll get some jackfruit on there. Ooh, that's a real thick piece of jackfruit. You may sometimes in the packaging, it may not all be shredded the way you like it. So you may want to chop it up a little bit if it's not chopped up enough. Okay. All right. There we have it. I think we'll end with that and just put some red salsa on top. And I'll show you how we're going to cook these. Okay, let me end with some red salsa on the very top. Maybe a little verde sauce, the tomatillo sauce as well. Maybe I can do this without getting anything wet. Oh, look at that. How about that? That was wonderful. All right. So for those of you who just love to have a little bit additional peppers, I recommend putting in a few extra of the poblanos. Now these, since they'll be kind of separate and out on their own, you can leave them thicker because people can pick them out and see them easier. Okay, wonderful. So there you have it. That's our vegan vegetarian. And we're going to go ahead, I think I'll go ahead and put this on to start to cook because we're actually using the slow cook feature. You can do this with the trays and covering them and getting them done in less than 2-5 minutes. If you're in a pinch, I would do that. But I really like the low and slow feature on the Instapot and the MEALTHY pot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit slow cook. Oh, you know what? Sorry about that. I didn't plug these guys in. Here we go. All right. I was like, what's going on? All right. So we're going to do slow cook, start, and hit, there we go, and hit start. All right. All right. So now, let's go ahead and talk about the keto ones. These are already pre-rolled. I've done the first layer. There's 2 layers actually in here, and I thought I'd show you one top layer. I didn't top it with salsa yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure I get the tomatillo on the correct side, not the right side, the correct side. And so we're just going to layer that with a little tomatillo and a little salsa. And then I'm going to show you how we actually did these low carb keto. They're a little different. There's no beans in them. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to actually grab, I'm just going to grab one of these out of the bag. Perfect. Set these aside, get these out of the way. So because we don't want to use beans, if you wanted to use like a dime size just at the tip, like just put it at the tip so that you can seal, you can do it that way. But the other way you can do it is take that garlic that we had and smash it. It's roasted smashed garlic. And you can use a real thin layer the same way you would make sure at the top you get the smash part, because that'll be the glue that holds the enchilada together. And having the smashed garlic kind of run down the tortilla is sinful. Now, if you're working out next to people at Pure Bar, you give them the warning that you had my salsa and that you had an enchilada at my house. I definitely would recommend that. Okay, so I'm going to get this vegan option out of the way. This is going to be a keto option. So I love poblano, so we're going to go ahead and load this one up with some poblanos. And that's how I made all of these in here. They're loaded up with a little more poblano and a lot of extra meat and cheese. Yeah, it's beautiful. Go ahead and get a few of the serrano peppers. And, ooh, we got 2 there. That's okay, spread it out. And some of the jalapeno. And we'll go ahead and get some of this beautiful meat. And it shreds so wonderful. When you see all the pictures, you're just gonna say, oh wow, I see why she did that the night before. And then it soaks in the juices. So yummy to do that. And we'll use the regular cheese. Yeah, this is the one that I'll be eating from this batch. All right, and we'll roll it up just the same way that we did the other ones. And we just pinch those edges together, and that'll be my top layer. And again, we'll cover it with some cheese. Sprinkle it with some cheese, and then put some salsa on top as well. Get a little bit of that other side with the tomatillo. And one more layer of cheese. And this is going to be just incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and take that lid, put it on, get it started to cook. And hit slow cook. And it'll just go ahead and start on its own. Okay, so let's talk about some of the sides. I have a lot of wonderful sides, garnishes that when you pull this out and you want to plate it. Well, my husband likes Mexican rice, so I plan to make him a traditional Mexican rice. That would be a wonderful side. But I don't do rice. Many keto people don't. It's not one of those things that's keto friendly. So I'm going to do a cauliflower rice, and I'm going to fry it up in that frying pan. And I'm going to utilize all of these wonderful ingredients that we have as sides and garnishes. And that's just how we're going to fry it up. Using some avocado oil as a base. We have the cauliflower rice. Now, if you didn't have this in a bag, you can actually shred it from a real whole cauliflower. I just thought for saving time, since this does take a little bit of time to do your beans and your chicken, so to save some time, give yourself a break. You know, get some of the already in the bag cauliflower. And the cauliflower rice is a great side with the enchilada. It's so wonderful. And so one of the other sides or garnishes that we'll be using, well, of course I've already shown you, we've got 2 salsas to use. We have a regular red salsa and a tomatillo salsa. We have cheese, which you've seen. We have, so if you want to have some of the addition. We actually have some cilantro that we'll drizzle on top. For those people who are if you use onion, you want to just use a very little. But for those that are not following keto and are vegan and or just doing traditional cooking, you can put as much on as you like. And then we have just some jalapenos. And of course we have the ones that are already cooked. And we have some wedges of lime that we'll squeeze on. Really makes a nice finishing touch onto your enchilada. And we have some beautiful avocados. Now you can make a guacamole, but I really prefer to use and know how much avocado I'm having personally, because this is one of my healthy fats that I have every day. So I'll thinly slice these so that we can kind of lay them on top. And then we'll have either, for vegans, you'll want to have some wonderful almond, this is an almond yogurt, almond milk yogurt, and it's just delicious on top of the enchiladas. So this is a plain, no flavoring whatsoever, so you can do that if you're doing the vegan. And then if you're not doing vegan, you just can do sour cream if you choose. I really love to use a Greek yogurt. I think it's just really refreshing and light, just is wonderful. So that's it for the show. We're getting ready to make the rice, so I'm going to go ahead and say good night to everybody. Thank you for joining our show. If you would do us a huge favor, say happy birthday to Sylvia. Her birthday is next week. But also hit that share button, that little button that if you're watching from Facebook, it just says share. Share it to your wall, share it to your page. I'd love for us to get a little bit more momentum. This show has just been, this is show number 94, so we're very close to getting to 100. And it's just wonderful in our community how long everyone has been following and faithfully coming back every week. So I so appreciate you all for that. And tune in next week for another amazing show. Now I'm not positive if we do a show next week. I think I have a little bit of a surprise, but I'm going to wait for Thursday for that to happen. I'm trying to make certain things occur so that we can do it. But have a wonderful rest of your weekend. If you're in the troubled weather area, please be safe. I know there's 6 inches of rain across the bridge and it just is flooding everywhere, so just try to be safe. If you're anywhere in the path of some of this other weather that's kind of going on around the country, be safe, and I'm sending you a ton of love from my kitchen. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.